doing all the things now. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning. All right, let me make sure I get all these. Y'all, so all these, I'm taking them out, but just FYI, all the little recording things, when y'all come in with it, it messes our stuff up. So we have to remove y'all. Not y'all, but the recorders.
If you want the transcription, when we upload the podcast, you can download that if you want to summarize it or something. Well, guys, we're really excited about today's podcast. It was inspired by another podcast. Megan will tell you guys about that, that we love. And it just felt so well timed in terms of like what we're hearing from you guys this quarter and what's going on in like last year. The economy felt really funky. And we saw that in business in general. Like I had a coffee business. We still order coffee from him, right? Like we're doing his cleanup, but like he sold part of his business. He shut down like the in-person just because it was, a small mom and pop coffee shop and things were just funky. So, I think we are seeing that turnaround. A lot of people are optimistic, and that happens with a lot of times with a change in political parties or new terms or whatever. Like, sometimes like could be 50-50, who knows? But so anyway, we're hearing some like recovery from that from you guys, where like maybe you got really beat up in 2024 and you're going into 2025 and you really have to overcome like the wounds of last year. Does that make sense? Like that discouragement, that mental like whatnot. And that's not a planned intro to this topic. We're just, y'all know this podcast is real. It's live. It's what's going on. So, okay.
So,
Megan, do you want to show the shirts before or go ahead?
Yep. Yeah, no, go ahead and share them.
Okay,
yeah,
guys.
Let's share
them. We don't normally share other people's stuff on this, and I will get none because I think Megan has a link. These are, and I have an affiliate link. I don't share it very often, but me and Megan can tell you more about the nonprofit itself.
I can read it to y'all.
Oh, exactly read it from her. Read it.
Okay,
and then I'll show the shirt because they're just so cute. The two that I have are cute.
So Tara Wall created this. Well, she has a business called Consider the Fields. I'm going to read exactly the story because every shirt you get, she sends a little story card that goes along with it. Consider the Fields LLC was created by Tara Wall in 2019 with the vision of supporting a dream to help her community after walking through the bittersweet road of foster care and adoption. That dream turned into a reality in 2020 when Project Hope was born. This new nonprofit allows mothers struggling with addiction and abuse to recover safely in faith-based long-term homes with their children. Through Project Hope, they will learn life skills, overcome challenges, and how they walk with the Lord in their newfound freedom and healing. Every purchase you make from Consider the Fields goes directly to the support of the vision and ministry of the Project of Hope to learn more ways about. And then the t-shirt club is one of the things she has that does that. So every month you get a shirt, a different shirt. You don't know what it is until you get it. Sherry's got two of them right there.
Okay. So this is the one Megan's wearing, and it is an Easter shirt. If you can see that, it says "He has risen," Matthew 28:6, and yeah. So Megan's totally wearing it, rocking it. Sometimes you'll see us wearing them on the same day. We get really excited, and they're often relevant to like Christmas was a Christmas one. It was like pink and red.
Happy
there's
birthday,
a men's
Jesus.
club too, like,
and kids. You can get them in kids, and she has earrings and stuff that go with it. And
yeah, I need to subscribe to the earring one. You can do like an earring and t-shirt package, guys.
A bundle. Yep.
Yeah. You can, there's also other bundles, like you could do like a Bible study in a bundle. And the other one, guys, is Liz on today? Liz? No, I'll tag her. Like, isn't it so cute with a windmill? Like, it says, I will praise him in every season. So, like, I missed this one. I had a payment hiccup and she sent it to me, which is why I have two.
That's
And
super cute. I mean, I like the other one, but I really like that one.
I like this
They've
one. I'm like,
had
I wear
some.
this one all the time. Like,
So the one for Halloween, and I'm not, if you do Megan 5, you get a $5 discount for the first month. But so for Halloween, she had it's Dry Bones Come Alive. So it had like all the skeletons across it, like dancing. It was so cute. I was like obsessed with that one. Like, but all of them are like, they're different, they're cute, and it just gives you something new to wear.
yeah, they're fun. So
Yeah, and we were talking, if y'all weren't on, then the doors close on Monday for this. So every month she reopens the doors at the end, but because she's got to produce the shirts and stuff like that, just make sure if you want to get in, you do it by Monday.
and this was totally not a planned shout out. I just opened mine yesterday. So that was it. That was the other reason. And they're lovely. Excited for Easter coming up. So
Yep.
okay. Well, today's podcast is fun, so we'll get back to it.
Yeah.
Megan, do you want to kind of set the stage, because this is directly inspired, which we don't do very often, like
Yep.
rarely.
So if y'all know, we talk about all the time, we've had her on here before, Jennifer Allwood. So her podcast this week was, do you remember the exact title, Sherry? Or do you have it pulled up?
Yes, I do. Words matter, or your words hurting your business. And I just dropped her video link to YouTube.
Okay, perfect. So essentially, like a summary, y'all definitely go watch it, because she's huge on mindset, business coach, like all the things. It's awesome. But how are your words that you're saying affecting everything that you're doing in your business, in your life, like in general? So she goes into all of that, and she references a Bible verse that life and death are in the power of the tongue. And that you want to make sure that the stuff that we're speaking about our business, into our business, that it's stuff that we want to happen. So one of the like phrases or challenges that she kind of did on it was, as you say something, add in, and that's the way I want it. So if you're like, I'm terrible at marketing, and that's the way I want it, well, obviously that's not the case. So it's super important. And to know, are those things, is this a triggering thought? Is this something that's affecting my business? If you add that phrase into it, it helps you realize like, hey, maybe this is not something I should be saying, or something I'm thinking, or whatever. So yeah, she really went into that, so to make sure that your words are aligning with your goals, with your faith, to help you reach your goals and get to that next level.
Yeah. And I think this is sneaky. I don't think it's always as obvious as I hate sales.
It
Sometimes
definitely
it is, right?
It definitely is. So on our mindset call, and let me see if I can pull it up. On our mindset call last week, I was telling them, because our book that we've been reading has a lot to do with the same stuff. And like one of the things, some of the terms that she used was like, I don't know, I want, like, I can't, stuff like that. And it's stuff like that you're like, oh man, I say that all the time. Like, I don't know, or whatever. And like not meaning anything by it, but like, hey, I need to pay closer attention to how I'm saying that, you know?
Yeah. And sometimes it's things that we're trying to do. Like, okay, you just said that. You gave an example, but like social media marketing is not working. But then when we talk to you in like a private coaching call, you got tagged, you got a referral, you know, something happened on social media that led to something. So I think ever since day one, because I remember like when we started the Bookkeeper Blueprint like program, we did like a 5-day marketing challenge. Do you remember that, Megan? Long time ago.
Yeah.
And we went back to something like I had hired like a personal CFO. Don't recommend. But when I first started my business, I just felt like I didn't know what I was doing. Like, what do I do? He was helpful in terms of like it did allow my husband and I to kind of really talk about what are our real 5-year plan? Like what are our goals? We hit everything on that 5-year plan in a year. Because a lot of it wasn't necessarily money related. It felt money related, but it was really just punching for the opportunity. And not everything, like, you know, one of the things on the list was to foster and have another baby, and that didn't happen, you know, like, but one of the things was we want 5 bedrooms in our next house. We do have 5 bedrooms. Unused 5 bedrooms, but like, you know, we do have that. So action breeds action. So when we're on social media, if we can have a connection, if we can make traction, and traction does not always look like a paying client, you know? So like, why do we want to be on social media and being really clear? I love the fact that Megan talks about being so clear, like what actions, and getting really clear. And this is like that whole 80-20 principle. Who did that? Who is that attributed to, right? Like, so that 80-20 principle, you're going to be doing 100% of work every week. But if we can start to get really clear on what is the 20% that maybe you enjoy, maybe you don't, but that like actually moves the needle. Some of you know, I don't know if I've really announced this, Megan. Shoot me if I was not supposed to allow. I don't know if I can say that on YouTube, but that's okay. You know, there are certifications and licenses I have given up or stopped pursuing because it did not have a direct relation to my income. Some of you guys don't want to start your business until you get Pro Advisor certification, or you don't want to go get a client until you have it or something. Megan still doesn't have it.
Nope.
And guys, I
And that'll
got
be
it.
6 years.
I got it. I let mine lapse. Can I say that? Like, am I allowed to say that? Like, I let mine lapse because everything on the directory, like I did get calls, I did get things. They either wanted me to jump within the first 30 minutes, and I don't jump that fast. 2, it was spam. So a lot of you guys are like, hey, yay, I got something from directory, and it's spam. And it's like, well, that's silly. I have never had anyone really care. I'm like, this is what I do. I can show my expertise in the content I provide. Some of you guys need a certification to feel like you can show your expertise. Some of you guys want that advanced certificate. Have at it, go for it. But when I looked at, I have 3 young kids, and that is where I want my focus to be. And I procrastinate on this renewal every single year. This is total tangent, Megan. I'm sorry.
No,
I
you're good.
procrastinate on this certification every year. So now I'm like the week of, and now my stress is higher. My family's stress is higher because now I have to go do this renewal. 2 years ago, I said, it is not worth this to go get that certification. I don't get clients from it. I've still grown my business. I still get clients. I still show my expertise. So anyway, just relieving someone if you're hung up on some of those things, like getting really focused on your why. Mine is not stress in my family, and it is having bandwidth for my little kids. Y'all know I homeschool. Y'all know I'm home with them. You see them, you know, like I'm like, oh, I'm gonna mute my camera and turn my video off, and as they're bolting in or whatever. The door's locked most often, but my kids have been sick, and so they're like, I'm clingy, and it's, you know, I'm working with them in my lap, and that's okay. Or I'm taking more breaks. That's okay. But if I walked around saying, because I've done this before, I'm guilty. I hate this business. It's taking my time away from the kids. Guess what am I going to get more of? And not even from like a wooey, nothing wooey here. And if you listen to Jen's podcast, she's like, nothing
She
wooey
says that.
here either. Like,
Yes.
it's not wooey. But like, and biblically speaking, this is a biblical principle. Think about things that are good and worthy and noble of thinking on, right? So if I think all day long, I hate this bookkeeping business because it takes me away from the kids. And I say that every single day. I am going to have a bookkeeping business that takes me away from the kids. Because I'm choosing to have a bookkeeping business that's taking me away from the kids. Because I'm saying that. Does that make sense? Versus if I approached it with, I love this bookkeeping business because it allows me to do whatever, and I have time for the kids. I'm going to structure my day differently because of my internal belief. If I'm going, so how this plays out is I hate my bookkeeping business. It takes me away from the kids. I'm going to structure my day so that I'm only focused on the bookkeeping business because mentally I'm saying I am focused on this all day long instead of my kids. If I flip it, I'm going to pay attention to that 20% that moves the needle forward, social media, whatever. And then I'm going to start saying, I love social media because it allows me to run a bookkeeping business that gives me ultimate freedom to go to the zoo with the kids. Do you see that domino effect? Okay. Megan, I know you have some thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, y'all, to remember is your words that you are using, the thoughts that you are having, that's impacting your confidence, how you're showing up in your sales calls, how you're pricing your clients, how you're showing up talking to these potential clients, how you're showing up in your marketing. They can see that. They can feel that. If somebody comes to you to sell you something, or somebody's posting on social media, or whatever the case might be, and they're lacking confidence, and you can see it, you can feel it in the posts, in the words, in their mannerism, like all of the things, you're not gonna buy from them. So you have to believe in what you want, what you're offering for them to as well, because they can sense that and they can feel that for sure. So that's why, like, the words, if you're constantly saying, I'm terrible at this, then you feel that when you show up. It shows in your marketing, it shows in your sales calls, it shows everywhere. So you're essentially affecting your business all the way down.
I told you I was talking to Kyle, my husband, about this last night.
Yeah.
And I was telling him, I was recounting something that had happened. And he's like, that he immediately jumped to, clients noticed that.
They do.
And exactly, like, I'm saying this to a client. If they see or overhear that I have said something different here, they're going to be like, oh, you lied to me. And it's not, sometimes for some of you, it's not that you're lying. We're just not evaluating. Anna, I love that. Yes, words have power. We're not evaluating the meaning behind our words. We're not being intentional. There is another, it's a proverb. I wish I was quicker on my feet sometimes.
The life and death one.
No, that's a good one though. But like idle words, when we're talking, and we're just being idle with our words. Sometimes it is idle words that we're speaking. So, I'm not getting any traction on Facebook because your thought process internally is that you're not getting any traction on Facebook. And this applies to, I think we've had this conversation with students over and over again, really since the beginning of coaching bookkeepers and working with others, and just coming alongside bookkeepers when we weren't getting paid for that, right? Like all of those things. But when we're saying that, then we go say, well, actually, I am getting traction here. Well, you just said this, or your normal narrative is this, but it's not necessarily reality. And so those idle words, oh, Anna just posted your verse.
Awesome. Thank you.
The
Annie.
tongue can bring death and life. Like, we're like getting all biblical over here, but it is such a like foundational aspect of, you know, how our brains work, what our tongue does. The tongue can bring death and life. Those who love to talk will reap the consequences. On that note, I feel like I need to shut up. But,
Well, okay, so
you know.
and I can say, like, I will make 6 years in business this year. There is so many times that I'm like, oh, it feels like, okay, I'm not reaching this goal or this is not happening. And if I stop and take a look back, and even to say I'm going to stop and take a look back right now, it might take me doing some mindset work to even realize it. But it's like, okay, wait, I slipped back into some of my old mindset habits, and that's what's holding me back. And if I start doing some of that work again and changing some of those things, then things start going the opposite way, or the opposite way.
Yep. And I think it just positions us differently to watch for opportunities.
Yep.
So if we're approaching, so like me, y'all know I am very transparent. I do not get excited about Facebook. Not to say I don't use it or enjoy the benefits of Facebook, right? I can't say I hate using Facebook, because that's not true. I just don't wake up like, ooh, let me post today. And Megan, I don't even know if you get up saying, who let me post today, but there sometimes, yes, you get a reward, right? Like, because you get paid from Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
Occasionally,
Facebook pays
like,
me now.
the
Like
video
$10.
announcement.
Yeah, like $10 a month. But I'm posting for my business anyway, so might as
Yeah.
well.
So like, but there are other platforms. So like when I was growing on Upwork, I did get up. What's on Upwork today? Kind of, not as cheesy as that, but like it wasn't hard for me. It didn't feel like, ooh, I said this sometime this week. Maybe it was on the our student call this week. It didn't feel like walking through sinking sand. You know, like it didn't feel weighty. It didn't feel hard. Sometimes I didn't get to do it as often as I wanted. So I had to put like a, you know, a weekly goal. So it wasn't just a daily goal. It was a weekly goal. And when I started, it was only 15 a week. Can I do 15 a week? Because it was achievable. It was actionable. It was something that I knew I could achieve, but it was just outside of my, like, if I don't do it consistently, I won't get there. So I have to be, you know, actionable to this. Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to ChatGPT. And if you're in the Bookkeeper Blueprint, we have a lot of social media templates, captions, and things, and you can run those through ChatGPT if you're looking for additional things. I would, however, if you do not know your ideal client, posts that you make just saying, hey, ChatGPT, make me some posts for bookkeeping, you're not going to get as far. Liz just joined. Liz, I'm going to tag you in this video. I just shared this shirt. Isn't it cute? I don't know if you can see this. You're from Texas. I thought you would love it. This is that lady that Megan and I always talk about.
Yes, I do love it.
I thought you would appreciate it. So I saw your name pop up. Sorry.
Thank you.
We were talking about Megan had posted it. So me and Megan get those shirts every month. We're totally in that t-shirt club with Tara Wall of Consider the Fields. And she sent me, that was January's shirt. she sent it to me because I had a payment glitch and I didn't know about it. And she was very gracious and was like, I'll send you all the shirts you missed. And I'm like, no, just send me that one. That's cute. Like if you have to send me something, that one I love. So anyway, thought I would share. And on that note, I lost where I was going. But if you can find if you're taking ChatGPT, hey, I'm talking to bookkeepers, you're going to get what everyone else is saying. So the more you know your ideal client and can understand what they're saying, like, because I feel like I do know my ideal client. When I send an email, like once a year or twice a year or monthly, whatever, if I ever take a break and then I like restart emailing, I 100% get a client. Because they see my email and they're like, that's what I need. That's whatever. And it's sometimes not what you guys are saying clients need. I do take a different approach. But I know those that are on my email list. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Tangent. I tangented. I'm sorry. Back towards matter. We have lots of examples of where this comes up, and it's not just Facebook. But that was just a reminder. Choose the platform that you get excited about. Does that make sense? Like whatever you can get on easily, do that. And that looks different for me and Megan. It's not that I'm never on Facebook. If you go find me, I am on Facebook. I post. Thanks, Megan. I do post on Facebook. I do post on my page. It's just not every single day. It's enough kind of like sending an email. Hey, I'm still here. I'm willing to take your bookkeeping. Or, hey, I'm still here. I'm still doing who I am, right? Who I am has not changed. Okay. And then I pursue where I market and what works for me, whether that's, so like I am in the podcast, like I get a lot of traction with collaborations and talking to other people and networking within my community in which I serve, not to be confused with my local community, because I told you guys a couple weeks ago on the student call, I do not market to my local community. I do not want clients in my state. It adds work for me that I don't want to do. So I like Arizona, where I came from. I was not born and raised in Arizona, but we spent a lot of time in Arizona. So, okay, Megan, I'm gonna hand it back to you.
So I want to circle back to Cameron. He made a comment earlier. Getting the certifications helped me while trying to get clients in conjunction, because it helped with my imposter syndrome and just helps me get better while waiting on clients. I just want to make a comment on that. Sherry was not saying don't do those things necessarily, but don't let that be the thing that's holding you back, and don't not market because you're doing that. Feel like you have to do all those things and stuff. You can do this without those things. Some people need it as a confidence booster. Some people have the time because they're waiting on potential clients to sign and stuff like that. That's okay. I started and stopped because I had clients sign and I didn't have time, like with my full-time job, to do that and do the client work. The client work was more important because that was bringing money in, and I wanted to continue to market because I needed more money to come in. So just prioritize what's more important. You don't have to have it. It's a confidence thing at the end of the day. Do you need training? Do you need to know how to do bookkeeping? Yes, you do. So like whatever that means for you. So she wasn't telling y'all not to. I just want to clarify that just because of that comment and make sure that was understood fully.
100%. We talked about this last week. I'm going to drop the link to that episode here. And so thank you for catching that, Megan.
Yeah, no problem.
Because 100%, like I just don't want you, we referenced it last week. I don't want you to get stuck in what we referred to last week as tutorial island, where you're just learning. I've done that on different things where, I've spent a lot of time learning, analyzing, and not taking action on different things, right? And it's stuff that I want to do, but I'm like, maybe I don't have time. Maybe it's not right now. But if I could figure out like what I wish had happened on the particular area that I'm talking about in my life, what I wish had happened, I wish I had figured out how to give it 30 minutes a week to actually go execute. So doing my bookkeeping, doing my personal bookkeeping for you guys. So now translating it back into bookkeeping. Could you do your personal books and all of the accounts you might have? You might have a credit card. You might have a business account. You might have a savings account. You might have a mortgage. You might have a loan. You might have a student loan. Can we put all of that into QuickBooks on a ledger account that's $10 a month? The cheapest education you can get, right? $10 a month for free for the first 30 days and actually start doing. And then in that, so one of the best ways to overcome imposter syndrome, Megan, didn't we do a video on imposter syndrome with Jennifer Allwood where she like called out imposter syndrome is a contradictory phrase and it's not a thing?
Yeah, it was our last year, the podcast she did last year with us. It was in June of last year.
Okay, I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna find it. So the reason it wasn't like in January.
No, I think it was June when not the last one we did, the first one we
The
did with her.
before? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll find it. The reason, so it's not wrong, right? Like, do we know enough to go say what we know? You're gonna talk to probably 100 clients that think you're stupid, think you probably don't know what you're talking about. And you know what? That's 100 opportunities to get a lot better and figure out what you don't know. I remember a call I had, and I should not have had imposter syndrome, right? But I totally did when I started, right? Like I felt like I might not know enough to do what I'm doing. And so instead of saying imposter syndrome, this is where words matter. Can we take imposter syndrome out of our vocabulary? And I totally understand the place and time that it was just used in the chat. I'm not saying, don't do that. But if you find yourself every day saying, man, I just have imposter syndrome, if you're actually articulating that mentally, do you really want to say, I have imposter syndrome and I'm okay with that?
So can I give the definitions? Because so this is how she broke it out on the call. And I just pulled them up real quick to see. But she broke it out like, look at the definition of imposter and look at the definition of syndrome. Like before you start saying I have imposter syndrome, the definition of imposter is someone who pretends to be someone else, usually to deceive others. It can also refer to feeling like you're a fraud, which is where this comes in. But like, you're not pretending to be somebody else to deceive other people. Like you are trying to do the right thing. And then syndrome is a group of symptoms that occur together and indicate a particular condition, disease, or disorder. So obviously, like you're not stuck in this forever. This is not a disease. So that was her it contradicts itself. It's not a thing.
So if you're not willing to say,
or you're not doing it, rather.
If you're not willing to say, I am in this business to deceive other bookkeepers so that they pay me because I have a disorder and I'm okay with that. Do you see how that just doesn't make any sense? Like,
right.
And so I'm harping on that just because, like, if we change the language to be, I'm learning how to serve these business owners well, and I'm okay with that learning process. Now we have something to work with. We can't work with, I'm going to deceive someone and I'm okay with that. You come to me and tell me that, I'm okay. Well, you're not, I can't help you.
Right. You're not our client.
Like if you if you came to me and said imposter syndrome, I'm going to help you, right? Because I know what you mean. Like, I know where that's coming from. But when I started my business, it wasn't that I had imposter syndrome from like an accounting perspective. It was worried that I don't know enough to answer these clients' questions, like in the context of QBO, because, you know, I used Microsoft Dynamics, I used NetSuite, I used more formal accounting stuff, and I'd been using QuickBooks Desktop and had been using QuickBooks QBO personally, but it was such an old version. And then I stopped, was pursuing CPA, and then went back to it. QuickBooks had changed. It was not 10 years, it was like 4 years later. QuickBooks became a whole new thing in like 2018 to 2020. Like, it was totally different than it was in 2014. It's similar, but like, if you look at it now, it's totally different than what it was in 2019, 2020. Like, they've changed a lot. Okay, I will post that video when I find it.
I could.
That old one, that one from, like, I don't know if I'm just not going back far enough, if it like didn't get uploaded the way we normally do.
I know where it is on the podcast for sure, because that's where I looked.
Okay, it should be in the podcast.
Yeah, it's definitely on the podcast.
Okay, do you know what number it is? Did you see what number?
No, but I can find it.
It's gonna be like in the 60s or something. Sure. Okay, well, I'll keep going. But so with that, like, okay, I need to be learning how to do bookkeeping. We can also be learning as we're doing our personal books, as we're doing our business books, as time goes by. We can also start to record little videos, record little shorts. So, you know, one of the comments Cameron made was it helped with expertise. One of the best ways, remember in high school, if you can remember that far back, or college or elementary, whatever, like, was there a time, Megan, don't laugh. I'm just kidding, but
we have our 20-year graduation reunion this year, so it's funny you say that.
Oh gosh, I don't want to think about that type of stuff. Like, anyway, if you could think about, like, did you ever have a teacher make you teach someone something so that you learned it better? Or when you were studying in college, did you ever teach, like, you know how you get like study groups and you teach someone something so that you learn it? It's the same thing. Can you start teaching on your shorts on Facebook when you see something? So like, you're going through maybe our Bookkeeper blueprint and you see, hey, here's how to record an invoice correctly. And that triggers you to think, well, you know what? I was just talking to a bookkeeper on a sales call. They didn't sign with me, not a bookkeeper, a business owner, and they have issues collecting invoices in a timely manner. So I'm going to pull out my phone. I'm going to do a quick short saying, do you struggle with collecting invoices in a timely manner? Hook. Then I'm going to say, here are 3 things you can do today to start collecting invoices quicker. That's going to start to build that expertise. So if you're like, I don't have time and I am sacrificing studying ProAdvisor for like the past 6 months and I'm not marketing, flip the switch, go through the ProAdvisor training, go through the Bookkeeper blueprint, and start teaching your business owners what they should be doing, right? You're not going to take the content and repost it. You're going to use your own words. So you're going to do a 30-second short. If you can do 34 seconds, 34 is like, there was one TikTok creator, like, if you do a bunch of shorts between 0 and a minute, you can actually start analyzing your most popular videos and how long they were. And if they were like 33 seconds, you're going to try to get all of your videos 33 seconds when you edit and upload. How funny is that? Okay, random thoughts.
I dropped the podcast that podcast, it was 56.
Oh, I was close. I said 60s.
Yeah, 56.
Really close. 56. Do go listen to that because it was really good on like challenging. But I think we really have to challenge our thoughts. What are we saying? What are you saying the most of? That doesn't mean it's bad. It just might not be benefiting you. Right? I
And
don't
one
think, you know,
and
go for it.
one thing we have to remember is a lot of this at the end of the day, for me, it even, like it goes back to childhood. Like, how were you raised? What were you raised around? What, or even today, what are the people that you are around saying? What is their mindset like? Like all of that. So it takes work. It's not something that you're like, oh, I'm going to wake up today and everything's just going to be different. And like, you really do have to pay attention to what you're saying, how you're saying it, and all of those things. Like it makes tons of difference. And again, even the people that you're just hanging around with today, you have to make a conscious decision to change the habits and do things differently.
And you'll start to see that you're doing that when people around you. So when I started my business, I had a business owner's friend or wife who was a friend. And we kind of got closer during that relationship because I needed a lot of information from them. And then we started seeing, hey, we actually live close together. Like she was really close up to the street. And she had a child, my daughter's age. So in between like my two daughters. And so we started doing play dates and stuff. And I started to notice that she started admiring what I was doing verbally, like admiring characteristic traits, admiring how I was talking, admiring what I knew. Great, kind of confidence boost, right? But that doesn't make you money. And it dawned on me, like I remember thinking and probably talking to Kyle about this specifically. Why does she feel like she can't go do this? Because she wanted to start a business herself. But she would start and stop all kinds of things. And I think it was mindset, right? Like, so if you find yourself starting and stopping, you've tried a marketing business, you've tried an e-commerce business, you've tried all of these things. I think the difference when I was doing that, because I got really self-conscious and I was like, was this me? I started a business with an EIN called Rustic Style, and I sold drop shipping rustic style furniture. How cool. That was kind of fun. I did the website, I did everything. Learned a lot about sales tax and all the things that you have to do. That was back in 2014. I got busy. I shut it down. Like, I don't want to keep up with the sales tax and all of that. So I shut it down. And I really didn't sell anything on that one. But at the same time, I had a Etsy shop. So I was a reseller. And if you know any of my family members, that we've all resold something or another in some form of fashion. And I have a twin brother who is currently doing resale stuff, and he's doing really well at it. But in our history, like we saw our dad do that when we were growing up, right? Like he had a flea market. We owned a RV park. Outside of that was a flea market off of Highway 82 in Texas. And so he owned that there. That RV park, if you drive by it, they tore down the house my grandfather and my dad built by hand. I'm like, oh, I wanted that house. I'm like, I would have loved to have bought the RV park. Anyway, not my life. But anyway, he sold it. He got probably mindset issues, sold it. All of that went away. So now I don't come for money. if that helps, like it all went away. I don't think there was any money in it. Especially if you know Texas small town, like your Texas small town, like good old boy. That was him. Yeah, okay, Liz. Liz is like, I know exactly who you're talking about. Yeah, okay. That was him. And handshake is your word, and I'm going to try to keep the prices as low as possible and serving the community. And okay, anyway, so I had that. I still have an Etsy shop. I still have a teachers pay teachers shop. Like, I started quite a few things, but I am a learner. I am an input. Like, if you've ever done some of those, like, what is your personality type things, I am a learner. I'm an input. I love to absorb information. And I am pretty bad at execution, because I'm like, okay, this is what needs to be done. Like, let's do it. And yeah, Megan, don't judge me. I know who and what I am. So like, I can start stuff. And sometimes like I need to start it to see, like, is there any validity in this process? And sometimes it's nope. I tried that for 30 days. That is not what I want to be doing with my life. That is not going to be working. So I constantly say I experiment in my business, and I do, because if I don't experiment, I don't give myself permission to try something that might work. So when I started my bookkeeping business, it was an experiment that worked. I was like, oh, let me try Upwork. My husband wants to start a business. And so I made a post on Upwork, created a profile, had a miscarriage, and really kind of stopped. Later that month, I had 2 people reach out to me. Okay, an experiment that worked, right? I like to experiment. But I think you can only do that if you're saying, this is an experiment, and I'm okay with that. Or I'm going to try this for 6 months, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm okay if it doesn't work out. If that's what you're doing. If you're in Megan's situation, you said, I'm going to try this. I'm going to leave this job so I can be at my daughter's everything's. And I'm okay with getting up at 4:30 so that I can work between 5 and 6 a.m. so that I can kill myself for a year. My
4
job. Yeah. Sorry. No, it wasn't. Yeah, definitely. She left her job in 4 months. I'm just saying, like, a year of like,
Yeah.
you're like learning and doing all the things and growing a new business. And like, you knew it was good. I'm glad you called that out. I don't want people to think it took a year. Guys, you can grow from 0 to 3,000-4,000 a month in as little as 3 months. We see it happen all the time. So 0 to 6 clients, 0 to 10 clients, 0 to 5 could be 3,000. I'll have to go look at how many clients I had when I hit 3,000. It wasn't that many. It was under 10. Okay, did anyone have any bookkeeping questions about their business? Did you want to chime in on anything? We love to answer y'all's questions on this call. So if I didn't see anyone chat back, Cameron has some. Go for it. You can post them, or if you want to unmute, if you have. We just have a few minutes left.
Thank you.
Hey, Cameron.
Hey, so I wanted to ask a couple of things about some consultations I've been having, so I'm still grinding as hard as I can. I've been doing it 7 months, been a long time, juggling W-2 plus this. And I still don't really have a big client base, but hopefully that's going to change soon. I'm still working hard on it. A couple of questions. So I work, I think I told you last time, I work with real estate investors. I'm trying to niche towards that. Questions about multi-entities, and if you guys generally, do you generally have everyone have each entity on their own set of books, or do you have some clients where you do like the business tracking? I'm just trying to find like what's the best way to go about things, because I know I hear a lot about commingling being an issue, and I want to make sure I'm doing things the right way. And I know this is a pain point for them, but I want to make sure I'm doing things the right way. So I just want to know like what general practices among you guys.
Follow the tax return. So if there's multiple EINs, there's going to be multiple tax returns filed. If they are consolidated into like a holding company, right, we're going to pay attention to that. So, some people, when they ask this question, like I think in real estate, it's going to be a little different. Like you're going to, like if someone is doing real estate and that is a real estate investor and they're using LLCs to separate and protect each individual property, you likely have different Schedule E's being filed. And then you might have like a holding company file. So you might have it rolled up into, so I would see, and you will identify it really quickly from their tax return. If they're new, what is the intent of what they're doing? Some of you guys will say, oh, but they have multiple businesses and they're all in one QBO. And then when I start to ask questions and dig deeper, it's really one business and it's different aspects of one business, and they're all being filed on the tax return as an 1120S, one EIN. But it confuses new bookkeepers because they're doing coaching and they're providing a service, or they're selling a product and they're coaching, right? Under one EIN. And you can do some things like that if they're related. Sometimes they feel really unrelated. Well, that's between their lawyer and their CPA, really, at the end of the day. Sometimes I've seen businesses like start out, the EIN is one thing. They transition to a whole nother thing. And they transition the EIN. Sometimes all we have to do is just update the code that EIN is attached to, the NAICS code, if I got those letters in the right order. Sometimes we just have to do that. Cameron, does that answer the question? So like, is it under one EIN? Is it under a holding company? If they've got like I just did a cleanup for someone, they had a personal rental and a rental in an EIN. We did 2 QuickBooks Ledgers accounts for them to split them out.
Okay.
So QuickBooks
So
Ledgers $10 a month.
So yeah.
Just did
So
2.
if there's a separate EIN, then it doesn't matter. Just make sure it's separate set of books.
As a general rule of thumb. Yep.
Okay.
If they're consolidated into a holding company, you might consider a QuickBooks Enterprise that is designed for consolidations.
Okay.
So Michelle had this similar question. My client has a holding company for one EIN, and then they have a subsidiary LLC for each property, but one EIN. Michelle, I can message you too about this. I saw that thread and I think you got a lot of conflicting advice. So I will message you. So me and Megan will send you a message on that. Go for it, Cameron. What was the second question?
So I saw the pricing calculator, so I got access to that. Thank you so much. It's, I tweaked it, the way I want to tweak it, and I'm going to start using that. So I saw that you did like $1.50 per transaction. Is that like the industry standard? Because I'm thinking about, I want to do $3. I don't know if that's too much or.
If you're going to do $3, you might not have a base fee for the bank accounts.
Okay.
So that calculator has a base fee for the number of bank accounts. And that calculator came from, when me and Megan did that, we took how many different coaches' pricing scenarios. It has been thoroughly tested.
Yeah, several of the coaches.
For success rate. Some bookkeepers will say it's way too high. Other bookkeepers will say it's way too low. So
I was going to say, I think most people are saying it's too high than too low. So I'll tell you this, Cameron, sometimes I'll quote $2 a transaction, but I leave the additional fees out. And it just depends on the client, what they have going on, what is it going to look like, that kind of thing. But I've been doing it long enough where I know how long it's going to take me. When I see if it's 100 transactions, it's going to take me an hour to do the books every month. And I can kind of tell by the business. So yeah.
Okay.
So as you quote, you'll pay attention to the feedback that you're getting. So after you quote 10 clients, if you haven't gotten a single yes, bring me all of that data for you, how you quoted, what they had, and we can analyze it for you and see based on the client you're servicing, let's make these tweaks. So we've had to do that for different industries just because they're wanting to tweak the calculator. And so then we have to tweak it based on their experiment that they ran. So you tweaked it heavily, and maybe not heavily, but like $3
Yeah, I did.
transaction, right? Like
I did it, yeah.
that changes the way the quote is working. So we can use that data and see going forward, did it make sense based on their industry and what that industry is expecting? So there is
Right.
accounting data for that.
Okay.
For sure.
I don't know if I
That's
can ask one more, but I don't.
Go for it. And then we have Melinda too. That has a question. What's up? What's your-
So I had a client that was considering bookkeeping services. So this person hasn't filed any taxes at all since 2020, since their business started. And they really need to get stuff done and they wanted to start doing things the right way. So they wanted ongoing services and a cleanup of last year, and then, evaluate if we're going to continue to do the following years. So this person is a sole prop, not an LLC, and they're running payroll, only payroll. Is there anything like I would need to consider, like in addition to just like, regular cleanup work, since this person is on payroll?
The owner is a Schedule C on payroll.
No, so the owner doesn't pay himself. It's just he has employees.
So you said only payroll. I'm assuming there's still like transactions and bookkeeping, right?
He doesn't have any bookkeeping. He keeps things on Excel, and he hasn't filed any taxes at all. I don't know if he's filed payroll taxes. I'm assuming he uses a payroll software, so I'm assuming they're doing that for him, but he has no bookkeeping. Like no like regular bookkeeping.
Yeah, I wouldn't just run that through the calculator. I do not take on anyone for just payroll services. Just because like, well, I don't.
Yeah,
want to,
this client I'm doing bookkeeping. I'm not touching the payroll. This person only has payroll. Like he's only doing, like the only like financial stuff he's doing is payroll for his employees. Like he doesn't have any foundational bookkeeping system. So he's looking to get onto QuickBooks and getting, the right thing done. And he wants to get a cleanup for last year. And he has nothing now. Like there's no tax returns that's been filed since 2020. So basically starting fresh.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying, Megan, I'm sorry. I was just saying, like Cameron, I was just hearing like you were trying to quote for just payroll, but you're
No,
going
no.
to get him set up in QuickBooks,
Yes.
do the transactions, do the catch ups. And are you doing that from the last filed tax return on?
The last filed tax return, it would be 2020. So I don't know how that would work.
Last time I did something like that, I quoted like 1,400 or 14,000. He accepted, and it was not enough money.
Wow.
So, I no longer accept that many years. Unless they have everything, like just because like if they close bank accounts and they can't get me the statements in PDF form, like there is just so much work. Megan in the past has done hourly for some of that, where it's like, we don't know how long because we don't know what they're going to actually have access to this many years out. So if they have all the you're just using bank statements to get them in.
Yeah. Yep.
And whatnot. Like I have a method that I can quote 2,400 pretty much regardless of how much they have, but I am just inputting information. If they have 3 different POS systems and 10 different bank accounts and credit cards that don't have statements and things like that, then you're going to be a lot more. So you're going to have to, so what I would do is I would run it through the scope and pricing calculator. What I found that going that many years back on this particular one was he didn't know what he did or didn't have until we started asking him questions. Oh, I forgot I had that credit card. We closed it down. I have to call Amex support. They're going to physically mail me statements and then I have to physically upload them to you. And you have to like respond in a certain amount of time. And he was just too busy. So it was there. All I'm saying is you can quote normally with as much information as he has, but you're probably going to want to expect surprises along the way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, really nice person. So yeah, and would be, I think, a good learning experience. So for sure I would want to take it on, even if it's going to be difficult. So yeah, but that's valuable to know. Thank you.
Yeah, and difficult's okay. He just drug it on forever. Like it took us years to like, it's like, what are you doing? If he has 1-2 bank accounts, he has all the statements, or he can get all the
Mhm.
statements, or they, especially if they're still they're open through
Mhm.
today. Just that far back, the bank might not have them available for you to download. So we're going to
Right.
request them from the bank and things like that. Not a big deal. It just takes some time. So I wouldn't quote the 2,400 base that I would put it into the scope and pricing calculator that you have, or, the edit it that you did, and probably do that times the number of months.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
All right, Melinda, you have, does QuickBooks Ledger have all the functions as a normal QBO account has? No. It has everything you need to do basic bookkeeping. But if they are trying to invoice out of it or do bill pay or something like that, you're going to run into some limitations. And you can look at like what it does and doesn't have, but it is designed for the accountant who is going in like year end and taking the bank statements, uploading them, categorizing them, and issuing financials. Does that make sense? Like it's not designed to be used as like their invoicing accounting system. It can be upgraded to that, but it is. So I like it because it is the cheapest. I'm just going to do basic bookkeeping, which I'm good with. Like, I want those other ones. Yeah, you can do everything you need to do for basic bookkeeping. So journal entries, uploads, import, like whatever you normally do. Yep. Connect bank feeds. It works just like Simple Start.
It's probably better because the client can't even get in there, right? Like they can't change anything. Like they can't
No, they
mess
can
up
get
your
in.
stuff. Oh, okay.
Yeah. I still make them primary on the account. Yep, because they need to connect bank accounts and stuff. You shouldn't have access to connect bank accounts because you shouldn't have their login.
Right. Yes.
Quick question. My client paid for a leasing fee for a training program for $5,000. Is that an asset? Licensing fee. He's licensing the training program to resell. I don't fully understand what he paid for. It could be an asset. It could just be an expense. Like, is it an annual licensing fee? If it's like a franchise it sounds like it might be similar to like a franchise licensing fee. I would see if it's annual. Like, is it going to renew as long as he's selling that program? I would want to understand the transaction more and or see the contract.
In what circumstance would that be an asset?
Like the contract would imply that it's like, so like Denise DT licenses a program to resell. It's her like archetypes thing. And so she's pretty much taken this to create another asset with it. And so it's the rights of use.
Okay.
But is it an annual licensing fee? Then there's no asset. So terms and conditions are going to tell you what it is. Most often it's going to be an expense. I just don't know that we have the right terminology. Okay, Melinda. Okay, I think that's it. So terminology matters. That's why we want contracts. Like what the client might be telling us on the phone. Can you tell my age? I'm like using a banana for a phone. They're reiterating it to us with what they understand. When we get the contract, it might be something completely different. I had a client come to me at one point saying, I have a factoring loan. When we got into it, it wasn't actually a factoring loan. But he understood it as a factoring loan because that was the best thing he could relate it to, but it wasn't a factoring loan. So I just don't know if we have the right terminology because we don't have the source document to look at. Okay. Does that help?
Next, one more question.
Yep. Megan, do you want to chime in too? I've got to grab a little one.
So I usually ask for like 3 months bank statements for quoting to look at the transactions. Does anyone, or do you recommend like not asking for bank statements? Because I've been getting pushback from getting bank statements because they don't, they feel like they don't know me. They don't want to send it to me, even though I'm gonna have to get it anyway, but like just for a quote. And sometimes it just takes a really long time, like for them to gather it. I mean, if it's important to them, they're gonna make time to get it done. I understand that part, but I don't know if I'm gatekeeping, if I should just be asking their average on the call and then give them a quote on the spot, or
I don't quote on the spot because I want to make sure I quote them correctly based on, and I have all the information. I usually ask for QuickBooks access. If they don't have QuickBooks access, I ask for copies of the statements. And if 3 is what I asked for. I try to get a full year if we're trying to do the full year though, or if they're newer or something along those lines, because it can change. And but you can also ask for a total number of transactions, because I'll do that as well. But I do let them know, like, hey, you're giving me the transactions. If I'm not looking at the bank statement, I don't have a full picture. So looking at the bank statement, you could see, oh, wait, they told me they only have one account, but they're transferring money to all these other bank accounts, or paying these credit cards, or Venmo, PayPal, whatever the case is. If you're not physically looking at that, you're not seeing that. So if you quote them for 100 transactions and then you find out, oh, wait, they have 5 more accounts, that could drastically change your quote. So I make sure they know, because I haven't had the information to review and I'm just going based off of what you've told me, this is what your quote is, but I may have to come back and we may have to change it.
that makes sense. Thank you. I'm just like in a scarcity mindset, and I need to stop and just follow what I think I know is right, and that's what I know is right. Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Do it, ask for it. You may get pushback sometimes, but just let them know, like, that's what I need to give you a fair and accurate quote. And usually when you tell them that, they're fine with that. But yeah. And there will be people, I mean, there's people all the time that I've had people tell me, well, I want to give you access to my QuickBooks. Well, I'm gonna have it when I do your books anyway. Like, what's the difference in now and later? So yeah.
Anna, back to your licensing thing. We're just trying to figure out if it's a capital expense. So if it's a licensing fee for an intangible asset, if it's a prepaid licensing fee, like there are different ways that like becomes a capital asset. So we just need more detail. And then Cameron, I wanted to chime in on, like, I request QuickBooks access before they even get on the like a sales call with me. Like if they're serious about finding a bookkeeper, like there shouldn't be like I shouldn't have access to getting QuickBooks access. Does not give me access to their stuff, like their funds, their bank, whatever. I guess you could bill pay someone out of it, right? Like, so they could always give you like team access instead of accountant access at the beginning, but yeah, you either have to get that, or if they're not, like it's a no-go. You have to get something, or you can do a retainer, is what I posted in the chat. Like you can do a retainer for the first quarter, bill against it, and then either apply any leftover to future billings, or bill for the difference at the end of the quarter.
And the retainer is variable, or is it the same for everyone?
That's up to you.
Okay.
Right. So like, is it just a 5,000 retainer to get started? But like 5,000 if for bookkeepers that are charging a minimum of like 300 a month, that's more than a whole year worth of,
Yeah.
so what,
Yeah.
what do you think they fall in? Where are they saying they think they fall in? And then
Mhm.
charge a 3-month retainer based on where they think. And then you can say, well, you actually fall into
Mhm.
this. And so I'm going to do the difference.
Yeah,
But I work
something
with
to consider.
packages, so I can kind of wiggle room that a little bit and just based on what they said. And then here's reality.
Thank you.
Okay. And then marketing. Yasmin, I would love to chat with you about marketing more in the future. I don't know if you're on the call next time. If you want to message me and Megan on Facebook with like what you're doing, we might be able to add that into next week and make sure that like we can dive into that because I've seen you on a couple of calls. If you want to dive into that next week, let us know what you're doing and kind of what your thoughts are, and we can further pick that up next week too.
Definitely.
Cool, yeah. Well, I see that we went over today. I hope you guys enjoyed today's call. Thanks for the questions, and we will see you guys next week.
Yep.
Thank you so
Bye.
much, guys.
Bye,
You're
guys.
welcome. Bye.